In our first story, the Ghana Grade Company, Gradeco, is warning it may not be able to maintain operational standards if government does not make available needed funding to address cash flow challenges facing the company. At an annual general meeting, the managing director of Gradeco, Jonathan Amoakoba, said the company is not in a good financial standing.
In 2018 alone, Gradeco recorded a whopping 114 million cedis, representing 260% of revenue lost due to unfavorable tariff regime, which managers blame on the almost 50% reduction in tariff announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, despite a proposal for an upward adjustment. At an annual general meeting, the managing director of Gradeco, Jonathan Amoakoba, said the situation is dire.
Remember, they haven't paid us. On exactly the 30th of December at 11 a.m., we are going to disconnect them, and I believe that is going to push them to do something about their indebtedness to us.
Gradeco's primary role centers on undertaking economic dispatch of electricity from wholesale to bulk customers. This includes ECG and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company. Chief Executive Officer of the State Interest and Governance Authority, Stephen Asamoah-Boateng, is unhappy with the financial position of Gradeco.
Going through the 2018 annual report of Gradeco, I noticed that although the company has endured financial challenges, you somehow managed to record some achievements, although modest, which is very, very commendable.
But Deputy Energy Minister Williams Oreku Edu assures government is working to fix it.
The Ministry of Energy on our part is fully committed to and will continue to support measures aimed at improving the operational outcomes and financial fortunes of Gradeco. To this end, we will continue to strengthen the collaborative efforts with other stakeholders such as the State Interest and Governance Authority to make Gradeco a viable establishment.
Last week, the senior staff of Gradeco asked staffs to withdraw all emergencies to push government to settle debt owed the company by ECG, Valco, PDS and others.
It is therefore imperative that there be an appropriate injection of capital in order to maintain high operational standards.
Reporting for JoyNews, Sally Nanekwa Apuachua.
On the other hand, the Ghana Water Company has justified a decision to terminate a billing system contract with IT firm SoftTribe, citing a sharp dip in its bottom line as one of the key reasons. SoftTribe in the last few days has bitterly complained about a raid on its offices by operatives from National Security over a dispute with the Ghana Water Company it says was needless. Well, speaking publicly on the matter for the very first time, the managing director for the Ghana Water Company, Dr. Clifford Abdullah Brima, said SoftTribe seemed unable to resolve complaints made by customers, thus the decision to terminate the contract. He added the Ghana Water Company's refusal to also give the company access to software billing system indicated something sinister ongoing.
They themselves came to tell us that the system was being compromised. It's cause for alarm. Cause for alarm. We started experiencing the following challenges, actually, from that time. Balance on statement of accounts were different from water bills, making it difficult to handle customers' queries. When somebody queries the system, you cannot retrieve information and answer the person because it's difficult. Billing customers with wrong tariffs. 3 days ago, my minister was in Parliament and I went to give her moral support. I met the MP for Myon. I'm mentioning this so that individuals can call them. MP for Myon in the Northern region. Say, MD, I sent my mother to a house just 3 months. You brought me a bill of 10,000. Why? I said, oh, did you pay? He said, what will I do? Because they were threatening to disconnect you. Another lady called me. She's Laurata Musa Saka at a point that she was credited 3,000 Ghana cedis on her bill. Instead of her paying us money, we rather owe her 3,000 Ghana cedis. But she knew that was not her money. And so that's why she spoke about. Currently, myself and my deputy and the commercial chief manager, who is in Kumasi currently, but she has a rep here, are solving a problem of a gentleman, one Kwesi. What's the other name? Kweno. He lives at the plush estate around the palace. Is it West Hill? Airport Hills. Airport Hills, yes. He lives in Nigeria and USA. He comes to Ghana once in a while. And the bills they brought him over a period were so outrageous. So he's brought a complaint. And we are handling it to look at. They were even charging him commercial instead of domestic. Because the rates are different. If they charge you commercial, it means that you are a business person. So you pay higher rates. And he's complaining. If you're not very careful, we are losing him because he told us he has gotten a borehole. That's Accra East. Yeah. You are aware of the case. Another one in Accra East, Roman Ridge. I tried to look for the bill. The man has had a swimming pool. He gets regular water. And the bill that comes to him is zero. And he sent a WhatsApp message to a friend who forwarded it back to me that our company is a company of jokers. I read it to my chief managers here in one of our meetings. I'm sure you can remember. I read it to them. That can you imagine a customer telling us we are jokers and we don't manage the bills? It's Software that manages the bill.
And in Parliament, the minority members are demanding details of the takeover of the Commander Sugar Factory by an Indian firm based in Ghana, Park Agrotech Company Limited. They are accusing government of deliberately running down the company to reduce in sum its value. Deputy Ranking Member for the Trade and Industry Committee of the House, Yusuf Suleimana, insisted the factory could have been sustained if government had invested more into it. The Boli Member of Parliament said the minority will, as a result, investigate the processes through which Park Agrotech Company Limited won the bid for the purpose of transparency and accountability.
They've taken the investors to the site and to introduce them to the chiefs. I'm not sure they have signed any contractual agreement with them. That I haven't been told. But before they do that, we'll all be interested in knowing the processes that they went through for them to be selected as those who won the bid. Very interesting. Very interesting because we have so much interest in this project. You remember the NDC, and for that matter, the minority brought the Minister of Trade and Industry to the floor of Parliament and to ask him questions relating to Commander Sugar Factory. His answer was that they were looking for a strategic investor. And he also added that the assets had depreciated to about $11 million. Is it not interesting that today there's an investor who is willing to inject about $28 million into the project? So you ask yourself, a minister told us it was worth $11 million. Today somebody is willing to put in $28 million. That raises eyebrows. And so we want to interrogate this. We want to see what has happened between this period that the assets now appreciated and that an investor is interested in buying it at $28 million. So for us, there's a new development that we have seen, and we interrogate that.
Well, if you think you're worried about how rice grown in Ghana is not patronized, well, then you have to look at this, because poultry farmers in the country are also skeptical about government plans to place a permanent ban on imported chicken in 3 years after what they describe as failed promises by successive governments. The farmers say they still incur losses as consumers rather opt for cheaper imported chicken over broilers produced right here in Ghana. Well, they want government to reduce the mass importation ahead of the festive season to save the local poultry industry. JoyNews' Henry Kwesibedu has more.
The Tema and Takrady harbors are where most of it arrives. As the Europeans like the breast of the chicken, the other parts are shipped in refrigerated containers to other parts of the world, mostly Africa. At a cold store at Aveno here in Accra is one of many storage facilities across the country for these products. Lots of boxes of chicken have just been brought in from Georgia, the Netherlands, and other European countries. Benjamin, a cold store operator, tells me customers want their chicken cheaper.
I say cold store chicken price no from
At Oyarefa in Accra, we meet Augustine Amankwa. He started his poultry farm in the early 90s with just 200 birds.
I started this business 1992 with a base of 200. And then now I have about a capacity of 22,000. Broiler, we are doing about 18,000 now. And then layer, 22,000 capacity.
Although Augustine has a small area for processing his chicken, he is faced with the reality of the influx of imported ones, often way cheaper than his.
Back at the days, we can produce about 85%. We sell about 85%. I'm talking about the entire country. And then the importation wasn't much. Imported chicken wasn't much. But now there's a big problem. Now we are supplying only 2%. And then we import about 98%, which is very bad. Now it brings our business down. Formerly, I used to dress about 1,000 birds a day. We supply a lot of hotels and then restaurants. But now we dress around 150, 200 a day.
Christmas is a period when consumption of chicken is thought to increase. Poultry farmers raise birds to meet the huge demand. But as the season fast approaches, he is worried about being unable to sell his broilers raised for the big occasion.
I'm having a herd grower scheme, and we have about 18,000 broilers now. And I know if previous year 18,000, they can move easily. But now I'm afraid that maybe if I'm not fortunate, these birds will not finish. But we need to raise them for occasion. That's what we are doing, because we have a lot of herd grower members, about 20 people. And we have about 18,000 broilers now. And we are focusing on December festivity.
Boache Yadom is also a large-scale poultry farmer. He distributes his products to some selected supermarkets and individuals who have the taste for the chicken produced locally.
The volume of chicken imported into this country and the number of birds that we need to survive as a country, this country, we are capable of raising them. So it's all about channeling these funds into local production.
He tells me he was forced to lay off his workers as his business dwindled.
I was having about 18 people working with me, and at the moment I have close to 7 because I had to lay some people off. And it's really affecting our cash flow and our financing and our employment status.
Boache tells us he has no other option than to produce poultry for eggs rather than meat. According to a Ministry of Food and Agriculture report, local chicken production in the early 2000s accounted for 10% chicken demand, but currently, poultry farmers are producing just 2% of the total chicken demand. President Akufo-Addo in May this year also revealed that Ghana imported over $300 million worth frozen chicken. The Minister for Food and Agriculture.
At the moment, Ghana imports over 300,000 metric tons of poultry meat annually. Even more staggering is the revelation that Ghana's importation of meat products amounts to about $400 million annually. In 2018, livestock local production of 57,871 metric tons accounted for only 19% of the country's meat requirements. The remaining 81% had to be imported with scarce foreign exchange resources to meet local demand.
The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, revealed there are plans to place a ban on chicken importation.
And I'm saying that in the next 2-3 years, we will have enough production capacity in Ghana to be able to say to anybody who is importing that, look, I'm directing you, go here. Because you see, fact of the matter is that if you have to import primary food into this country, in this office, I have to give you a permit. We want to establish the local capacity to produce what they are importing.
Once you have the local capacity, then the plan is what?
The plan is that we say, hey guys, stop.
Boache and Augustine, however, doubts this.
The politics in it, the global economic and trade issues that goes with it. No government will have the balls to say, I'm banning importation. So a few people are benefiting at the expense of the rest.
Always when they want to come to power, their campaigns and a lot of things, they involve some of our leaders, and they have serial meetings with them. When we come, that's what we are going to do for poultry farmers. But before the moment they get to the power, it means they ignore us. That's what we have noticed.
Feed is about 60% of the total cost of poultry production, which is subsidized in Europe. Ghana's poultry farmers have a big worry, having to compete with cheaper chicken from Europe, where farmers enjoy subsidies. A turnaround is critical to save an industry under pressure. For JoyNews, Henry Kwesi-Pedu's report.
Well, we have to end the news, but before we go, this one will get you excited because JoyNews has been recognized for its paralleled coverage of environmental issues in Ghana, celebrating its 20 years anniversary. The environmental campaign group, Arusha Ghana, who gave out the award, described the news organization as a leader, especially with the coverage of the campaign to save the Tiwa forest.
It's an organizational culture. Okay, so this citation is in honor of your commitment to give voice to the voiceless by advocating for environmental sustainability in Ghana. From acting as a watchdog on political governance and errant institution to raising awareness, you continue to play an important role. And for this, we are grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Multimedia Group. Thank you.
These media houses have been partners. They've really taken on and given voice to civil society, giving voice to community people, to articulate the issues of concern, and specifically for the Atiwa campaign. I think Joy has done very well. Sometimes it's not, we don't even need, we don't have the money, yet our stories are carried across, and they have been very pivotal in the campaign to save Atiwa Forest.
Well, you can see me surrounded by the band, and we're talking about Walasi Senku Band, and they're all set up. We will bring you some great renditions, and Walasi is ready just around the corner somewhere around the studio, and we'll get him. But promises to be exciting. If you know more about Walasi, please make sure that you get onto YouTube, get to have more of his song, watch the videos, listen to them, and when he starts, you can also have some great renditions to cover. I tell you, it promises to be exciting right here on the show. But before we go, we also have relationship segment. And dear AM, today we have a great story. A story that touches most families across our country. And this is the story. My director will play it once again. And then we'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll look at the newspapers we have in the studio. I tell you, promises to be exciting. And right here, watch.
AM. My wife lied to me and I am finding it difficult to forgive her. We have 2 boys, 12 and 9. The 9-year-old had been frequently ill and I didn't understand why. So I asked that we changed hospitals to see if things will get better. The new doctor asked us to check his genotype. Dear AM, it was there I realized my 9-year-old son is SS. I was shocked. So I asked for answers because I am AS and I've always known my wife to be AA. In my despair, my wife said she had to confess. That was when she told me she had connived with the doctor who did the test before marriage to change her genotype to AA so we could marry. Dear AM, at the initial stages of our marriage, my wife used to fall ill frequently, but I never thought she could be SS. I've been hurt since then and at my wits' end. Kwame, Maureen.